Today is December 7th. Today's quote is entitled, "Two Ways to be Fooled." Soren Kierkegaard said, "There are two ways to be fooled. One is to believe what isn't true. The other is to refuse to believe what is true." People often talk about blind faith, believing in something without evidence to prove it. But what they don't realize is that blind doubt also exists, doubting what is true without evidence to prove otherwise. Many people engage in blind doubt without realizing they're doing it. You have to excuse me for the background noise. I'm not in my studio. I'm traveling and I'm not in control of people working upstairs. And that's what they're doing. So we all heard about the idea of blind faith because often we're accused of having blind faith. Can you prove karma? Can you prove God? You just believe it. But there's something which people don't realize, which is called blind doubt. That something is true, it's proven to them, and they don't want to believe it. So, equally as bad, if not worse, is to doubt what is true. And so often when people accuse us of blind faith, they're being accused of, they're guilty of blind doubt. Once on a morning walk, Prabhupada was explaining this, and he said that when he was in Russia, and he was speaking to Professor Kotovsky, he said, "You have faith in Lenin, we have faith in Krishna. It's just a question of who you have faith in. It's not a question that you won't have faith in some authority. Everyone has faith in some authority. It's a question of which authority is the best and which authority will you choose. It's not a question that you won't have faith or acceptance or belief in an authority." So, we understand that people often lack faith because if they accept something's true, if they acknowledge it, then they'll have to follow it. And so often when people doubt, it's not intellectual, but it's more psychological. In some way, they understand that if this is true, it's going to shake up my world. My worldview has to change, and that means what I'm doing has to change. So I'll just write it off by saying it's not provable. And even though they're logically presented the truth, they'll deny it. So that's called blind doubt. So often if you're talking to somebody and you're not seeming to be able to make sense to them, and they're intelligent and they should be able to understand, then something else is going on. They don't want to accept it because it would mean giving up something they don't want to give up, or accepting an idea, a philosophy, an attitude they don't want to accept in order to protect something in their life or protect the way they want to be or the way they want to think. So that's the idea of this quote. So this is something that may be useful when you're speaking to people, perhaps even not only for your own knowledge, but to present to them that you accuse us of blind faith, but you're demonstrating right now blind doubt, disbelief in something that has been proven to you. Now, there's another phenomenon, I don't know if you're aware of this, but when people get something in their mind, even if it's wrong, if they believe it, it's hard to get it out of their mind. That's just the way human psychology works. So even if you give people evidence to prove what they believe is wrong, because they've got it in their mind, because they believed it for so long, they will stubbornly hold on to it, even though there's books full of evidence to prove them wrong. That's the nature of human when it gets an idea, in its mind, it's very difficult to give it up. And maybe you have experience of that also. So, and what they found is that generally the only way people give up those ideas or beliefs is if they hear the new idea from someone they respect. And even though they hear the same evidence, which proves that they're wrong, from someone else, they won't accept it because they don't respect them. So they're not even being logical or reasonable based on knowledge. So those are some ideas or facts of life to be aware of when you're communicating with others who may be resistant or reluctant or reticent to acknowledge the truth in what you say.